My name is Michelle Lieberman, and I am applying for the post-creative strategist role within sports. I'm very happy I get to apply specifically to sports because I'm a professional athlete myself in the sport of swimming. I'm also an alumni as a Division One athlete as a swimmer for both Stony Brook University, where I am currently the conference champion for the 100-yard butterfly, as well as Eastern Michigan University. I switched between the two as a result of an injury. I also got the chance to represent my country in various international meets, representing Israel in the European Championship and the World University Games. So, as an athlete, I feel that I value hard work. I know what it's like to set a goal for yourself and doing everything that you possibly can, sacrificing everything along the way in order to achieve that specific goal. I love working in teams, and I most importantly respect athletes. So for the assignment today, I needed to choose one brand and identify a few common themes within the brand. So without no doubt, I definitely choose my favorite sports brand, Under Armour. The number one theme that I see when I look at the brand and the Instagram page is that it's almost like you confuse the page for not being a store that sells products. It's almost like this is a lifestyle blog, because what they showcase really is stories and inspirational anecdotes, and they showcase the athletes in the front and not their products. Definitely the athletes wear Under Armour and they represent the brand, and everything is very well branded with the Under Armour logo, but it is not in the front, which helps the audience really engage with the content and really relate to the content and get inspired by and from the content. Next is the fact that they're not using models, they're using athletes, which correlates to my next theme of highlighting women in sports. So when I say that they're not using models, I mean that where I'm coming from, it is more common than not to be using beautiful models that very old-fashioned, like skinny, they don't have an athletic body, and they don't have any muscles, which was very laughable for me to have one of the more famous brands in Israel having a very, very skinny model that is definitely do not belong to the sport of which she was modeling for. And this is because in Israel, being a woman in sport is very rare. In fact, for every 5 male athletes, there is only 1 female athlete. And for 97% of coaches are males. So being a woman in the sport and having muscles is almost like a taboo thing. As a woman in Israel, you're more encouraged than not to not have muscles, to not do sport. It is very much a masculine, dominant field. So having real athletes as models is something that I appreciate so much, and having almost an equal look, I haven't counted, but it is very much equally gendered in the representation of the brand. The last 2 things that I recognize, obviously, with COVID-19, the 2 that I can see on Under Armour's page is home training and masking. So the Under Armour mask, to be honest, is something that I see all the time at the gym. It's a very comfortable, breathable, suited for hardcore training mask. And the encouragement of Zoom workouts and the home workouts that you can do with anything, objects that you have at home, with a chair, with a desk, and you don't need a gym necessarily. And it is clear why. The reason is obviously because the access to the gym was very limited in the past year, in 2020 to 2021. So these are some of the common trends and themes that I see at Under Armour, and next I will be identifying 5 common themes across all brands. The first thing, and how can I not say it, is highlighting women. It is not a secret that male sports make 10 times more money for marketers. And it is clear why. women's sport is just not as developed. Male athletes by nature are faster, taller, stronger than female athletes. It's a completely different sport, although they're playing the same game or racing in the same way. And it is not only that they generate more money to marketing, they also make more money. The athletes, the NBA versus the women NBA, they make 5 to 10 times more in a yearly salary, and this is upsetting, and the change is happening slow, but the feeling right now is that women need that extra help as female athletes to be showcased in the media, because otherwise they don't get the respect that they deserve. And here's another really good example for a video that went viral for a March Madness female basketball player from Oregon. She was showing the differences between the male's weight room and the women's weight room, which is basically a rack with weights. So this was ridiculous and received a lot of media attention, and for a good reason. And that's a shame. So for Under Armour, I see a dedicated page that is called Under Armour Women. I see the same thing for Nike Women, Adidas Women. And I see the NCAA for women. So I believe that although it feels a little bit like it's a charity cause to be supporting women's sports, before we know it, the change will happen, and women's sport will be somewhat equal to male sports in popularity and in the money that the industry makes. Moving on to the next theme that I feel has been stronger in the past 10 years, but it is very much apparent across all brands, the fact that sport has become a way of life. It is no longer a mean for weight loss or for balanced life or just for anxiety reduction causes. It is a lifestyle. It is something that people do to make them happy. It is something that people find communities in. It is something that even recreational athletes that don't necessarily compete at the higher levels find a lot of joy in, and they value and prioritize it for more than just the health benefits of it, but for themselves, for the character, for their mentality. The next theme that I see is the fact that in the US specifically, we idolize athletes. So we champion those people that have this physical talent of swimming very, very fast, or running very, very fast, or jumping very, very high. We idolize them. We celebrate their achievements in a very unique way. And sport brands capitalize on it. It's something that I like to see, and it's something that makes sense to me as a marketing specialist, is the fact that people like to relate to a hero, to a story, and it's easier to relate to one person's story, to one person's journey, and fall in love with them. And I feel like sports brands are doing a fantastic job at showing those athletes as heroes and celebrating their celebrations and seeing each achievement at whether it be a regional or an international ranking as an amazing achievement, which it is. Next is a theme that I do not know how I feel about specifically, but across all brands. So if I look on the NCAA brand, if I look at the Olympics, the official Olympics page, as well as the specific store brands such as Under Armour and Nike, it is a very optimistic feeling. It is very much of like a you can do it type of message, but the thing that they do not talk about and they choose not to bring up is the idea of whether or not we're going to have the Olympics. And this idea of having the Olympics is very important to a lot of people. It changed the rules of the game. There's, in my eyes, the way that I interpreted it as an athlete myself, and my fiance is also training for the Olympics, trying to qualify as a swimmer as well. So the very, very top percentage of athletes that were likely to represent their country at the Olympics, there was no question about those athletes. Although you obviously understand that athletes that train for the Olympics, they put a hold on their life, and adding another year is a huge change in plans. A lot of athletes postponed their academics, postponed their starting a family plans, basically postponed any other plan, because when you train for the Olympics, it's really the only thing that you do. It's your only focus. But there is another layer, and a few more layers of athletes that they might have had a chance at representing their country at the Olympics, and they might have had a chance at competing at the Olympic trials, but continuing another year was a huge sacrifice for them. And these are not the very, very top athletes. These are, I want to say, top athletes regionally. So what are they going to do? I've noticed around me that there were a lot of people that quit from their sport because they couldn't take the extra year. And most of these athletes that are very talented, but they're not from the very top, they're obviously not sponsored by brands, and they don't get paid a lot of money to the way where they can live off it. So this is not something that I see very much across all sports branding and marketing. It's almost like everything is okay. We all know that the Olympics is going to happen in 2021. We're not necessarily talking about all the struggles and confusion that's going around among so many top athletes in the country and in the world regarding the fact that it was postponed. And I'm not sure if I like that or not, because the message is very positive, but news say otherwise. I am sitting now on March 29th, 2021, and there was recently a Wall Street Journal paper about how the Japanese people are uncomfortable. The majority of them, about 80%, are uncomfortable hosting the Olympics, and you can understand why. Having 500,000 people coming in from all over the world, including underdeveloped countries that don't have access to vaccines yet, that's gonna be scary in light of the pandemic. So whether the Olympics are actually going to happen or not is a big question, and I don't see a lot of brands talk about it. The last theme that I see is the effect of leisure wear on the majority of non-athletic population. So in the past, there were very proper way of dressing for various events. So when you go to the gym, you would wear athletic clothing. When you would go to the office, you would wear these clothing. When you go shopping, when you go out and about in the streets, you wear these jeans or whatever, something like that. But lately, especially with the light of 2020 stay-at-home type of message, is that the leisure wear of athletic clothing, leggings, and sweatpants has made its way to everywhere. It has become more popular and more acceptable to be wearing comfortable wear everywhere, to the office, to the mall, to go out shopping, to go out in the streets. You can wear whatever you want as long as you're comfortable in it.